Ever since Saturday Night Live debuted in 1975, it has become a cultural icon for sketch comedy on TV. The show has seen so many great casts and writers, and it has held an important place in the world of comedy. We'll be looking at the show's evolution throughout the years, and how much it has been through in its 40-plus year run. This is the history of Saturday Night Live. Saturday Night Live first got its start when NBC executives Herbert Schlosser and Dick Ebersol wanted to create a show to fill the Saturday night time slot after Johnny Carson decided to not air his show on weekends anymore. Desperate for ideas, they approached Lorne Michaels and asked him to help develop one for them. Now, Lorne himself had sketch comedy experience for years prior to that. He worked as a writer for Rowan and Martin's Laugh-In, starting in 1968.
What Tyrone means, Gladys, is that he feels for you deeply.
And he starred in his own show, The Hart and Lorne Terrific Hour, from 1970 to 1971. Lorne then followed along with their idea, and he went through the process of hiring people who could perform on his show. In the end, he picked 7. 23-year-old Dan Aykroyd, 26-year-old John Belushi, 32-year-old Chevy Chase, 28-year-old Jane Curtin, 38-year-old Garrett Morris, 23-year-old Lorraine Newman, and 29-year-old Gilda Radner. In addition, he also auditioned several other actors who did not get in, such as Richard Belzer and Mimi Kennedy. Comedian Andy Kaufman also auditioned for the show, but he instead ended up doing comedy bits on the show during the original era.
Right now, I would like to do for you some imitations. You stupid, you are so stupid. Everybody's stupid. Everybody's stupid. I don't like nobody is so stupid.
Along the way, Lorne was faced with obstacles. The ratings for the show were very disappointing. The network had concerns about the format, and the title Saturday Night Live was already taken by Howard Cosell, forcing them to change the title to NBC's Saturday Night before changing the title back sometime around 1977. Throughout the show's run, SNL has experienced a lot of casts. The original cast consisted of a lot of talented and viable players, as mentioned before, and gave us plenty of memorable segments, including Nick the Lounge Singer.
Star Wars, nothing but Star Wars. Give me the Star Wars, don't let them end.
The Dick Ebersol era had people like Eddie Murphy and Joe Piscopo, the former of which helped SNL's ratings increase in a rather dire period for the show, as he always killed the audience in everything he did.
It's a beautiful day in the neighborhood, a beautiful day for a neighbor. I have so much in common with Santa Claus. We both like to sneak into your house late at night. Only Mr. Santa Claus likes to leave things. Mr. Robinson prefers to take a few things every now and then.
The 1986 to 1993 cast is widely considered to be the show's best cast, with people like Dana Carvey, Phil Hartman, Jan Hooks, Chris Farley, etc. These people are fan favorites, and they also had great writing to help back themselves up with plenty of sketches that killed.
Hey, great party. I'm sorry I'm late. I forgot where you lived.
Oh my God!
The cast from 1995 to 2002 had people like Will Ferrell and Daryl Hammond, and these people also had great writing to back themselves up, as there were a countless number of absurd sketches that these people knew how to perform well, including Ferrell, who proved himself to be very fearless, and he could do whatever the writers threw at him.
I think Fred Friendship should go to the front of the line. F, 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 F,
No, that's not a good idea.
The 2005 to 2013 cast is well liked by people who grew up at the time, with people like Fred Armisen, Bill Hader, Andy Samberg, Jason Sudeikis, and Kristen Wiig being audience favorites, as these people provided plenty of memorable sketches, including Samberg, who helped bring the show to the internet age with his digital shorts that got people talking about the show again and helped SNL receive more press than before.
What you say? Oh, that you only meant well, 'cause you did. What you say? That it's all for the best, 'cause it is.
The current cast has been somewhat divisive, well-liked by hardcore fans, disliked by internet trolls. That said, the 2014 to present era does have a lot of talented performers, some of which have been on for a very long time. This era has also given these performers a lot of fun, creative, and absurd pieces that help make it so liked by the online hardcore fans.
What's my name?
David S. Pumpkins!
Any questions?
Yes! Several!
One of the most valuable aspects of the show is Weekend Update. When the show first started, the original update anchor was Chevy Chase, who brought a great sense of mock professionalism and paves the way for future anchors to come, including his successor Jane Curtin. However, after Lorne left in 1980 to explore other opportunities, Update soon found itself in a rather dire place. Charles Rocket became update anchor for season 6, and his era was critically panned. It also didn't help that he notoriously said the F-bomb on live TV.
Oh man, it's the first time I've ever been shot in my life. I'd like to know who fuck did it.
Another thing that didn't help was his successor, Brian Doyle Murray, who also wasn't critically liked. The Dick Ebersol era as a whole is not one of the most acclaimed eras. Once Ebersol took charge, Update was no more, and soon we got SNL Newsbreak and Saturday Night News. Ebersol soon started making a lot of baffling choices for the new Update, including firing anchor person Brad Hall without having a backup anchor in mind, and having guest anchors before eventually settling on Christopher Guest in season 10. Fortunately, things got better for Update once Lorne returned. Starting in 1985, Weekend Update was back to its original title, and we got a new anchor person, Dennis Miller, whose sarcastic, smug style paved the way for Update anchors to come. Kevin Nealon, his successor, started out good at first, but as time moved on, people took issue with his constant line flubbing. Fortunately, his successor, Norm Macdonald, put Update in a better state and nearly saved SNL from cancellation in 1995. However, 2 years later, Norm was fired from the Update desk by NBC executive Don Ohlmeyer and was hastily replaced by Colin Quinn, who people did not care for due to him coming off awkward, not to mention the fact that the network took away everything that made Colin a distinctive personality, mainly his on-camera rants and frequent ad-libs.
You know what this guy did before this? He represented John Hinckley when he shot Reagan. That's a hardcore Democrat right there, all right? He represented Hinckley, and he still gets a prestige job like this, of course. Nobody wants to get on his bad side. He's tight with Hinckley. He's probably got like an autographed copy of Taxi Driver at his house, you know? To Greg, are you talking to me? Ha ha, your friend John, you know.
In 2000, he was replaced by Jimmy Fallon and longtime writer Tina Fey, who helped make Update a breath of fresh air from the Quinn era. After Jimmy left, Amy Poehler took his place, and everyone was eating it up. Then, once Tina departed, cast member Seth Meyers took her place and brought his own style to the Update desk. After Amy quit, Seth was left solo at the Update desk for 4 years. In 2013, it was announced that Seth would be leaving SNL after the 2013 to 2014 season to host Late Night, so they attempted to make Cecily Strong his co-anchor during his final season. However, he ended up leaving midway through that season instead of after it, and so he was replaced by longtime writer Colin Jost, who, at the time, was dismissed by critics as coming off bland, stiff, and Seth Meyers-light. Fortunately, those critics would end up changing their minds when Cecily stepped down from the Update desk and was replaced by fairly new writer Michael Che in season 40. He has remained in that seat since then. However, SNL has also faced a lot of speed bumps. Particularly, seasons 6, 11, and 20 are widely considered by critics and fans to be amongst the worst SNL seasons of all time. They took issue with season 6's focus on vulgar, tasteless, and mean-spirited humor.
Well, hell, Jim Bob, all you got to do is just shoot yourself a Jew or a nigger. Chances are better than even you'll be shooting a commie anywho. As well as it being the start of a brand new cast who weren't suited for live TV, including Denny Dillon and Gilbert Gottfried. With season 11, critics had problems with the disjointed writing and a whole new cast consisting of very young and inexperienced people who came off as very green, a few of which would either go on to achieve massive fame afterwards or were already famous, including Joan Cusack, Robert Downey Jr., Anthony Michael Hall, Randy Quaid, and Damon Wayans. Season 20 was the biggest offender of the three, seeing as how this season had a very experienced cast and crew who had been part of the show for years. This particular season suffered from juvenile humor.
Not-rific, 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 not-rific.
It's not very good.
Why does the jingle say that our candy bar is bad?
Tasteless sketches.
Kiss all day and kiss all night, sparkle bright.
What was the kiss? Longer that time?
No. Same kiss.
Cast members whose chicks had become played out.
Damn it! That fish really got me! Son of a bitch!
And the backstage drama regarding the cast members. All 3 seasons experienced very poor ratings, so much so that SNL was forced to do massive firings for all of them. The only cast members from season 6 who came back for the next season were Eddie Murphy and Joe Piscopo. The only cast members from season 11 who returned were Nora Dunn, John Lovitz, and Dennis Miller. And the only cast members from season 20 who returned were Norm Macdonald, Mark McKinney, Tim Meadows, Molly Shannon, and David Spade. There were moments when people accidentally said the F-bomb on SNL. Most notably,
I'd like to know who fuck did it.
but there are other instances. For example,
last weekend in Washington, a new museum dedicated to broadcast fuck was that? My farewell performance. Last weekend.
In the season 35 premiere hosted by Megan Fox, new cast member Jenny Slate accidentally slipped up and said,
I fucking love you for that.
Instead of freaking. In the season 38 Martin Short episode, during the What Up With That sketch, Samuel L. Jackson, who was making a cameo, unintentionally said,
Man, hey! Also, come on, Sam. It's some bullshit. Come on now. That costs money.
In the season 42 Kristen Stewart episode, during the monologue, Kristen muttered,
Is it the coolest fucking thing ever? Oh.
This led people to wonder if Kristen was banned from SNL, but seeing as how she was asked to host again in season 45, that's not the case. In fact, the same can be said for Sam Rockwell.
That isn't a true or false, Josh. You can't be this fucking stupid. I'm sorry, no, kids aren't stupid.
There were also times when SNL received a lot of media attention, most notably during the election seasons. Most of the time, whenever the show was doing debate cold opens, everyone would be talking about it, particularly during season 26, during the Bush Gore election. During that time, the line strategery would get thrown out a lot, and SNL would be making comedy gold out of the Florida recount fiascos.
So let them say I was a boozer. At least I'm not a stinking sore loser.
Another notable example of when the show received a lot of press was when the Lazy Sunday video first aired.
Lazy Sunday, wake up in the late afternoon. Call Parnell just to see how he's doing. Hello, what up, Parn? Yo, Sandberg, what's cracking? You thinking what I'm thinking? Party up, man, it's happening.
The media's reaction was huge, and soon people started making their own lip syncs to it on the then new site YouTube. This led to Andy Samberg and the Lonely Island creating a lot more music videos and digital shorts that everyone would be talking about during the late 2000s, including The Shooting, Jizz in My Pants,
Whisper in my ear that you want some more, and I jizz in my pants.
Dick in a Box,
Take a look inside. Is my in a box?
It's in a box.
just to name a few. And let's not even get started on
Once again, Ashley Simpson.
On a Monday, I am waiting. Tuesday, I am fading.
Not to mention the heavy focus on Pete Davidson's personal life in season 44, particularly his relationship with Ariana Grande, which the show got heavy mileage out of in the premiere. And now, let's take a brief moment of silence to honor the cast members who are no longer with us.